For the past couple of weeks, I have not been bothered whatsoever. I've not been bothered to go to the gym. I've not been bothered to do the work. I've been procrastinating a lot. And something interesting happened to me this morning. And it was almost like the only way that I can explain it is I got my spark back. So time is currently about 6 a.m., right? My day always starts early. And I always like to start with prayer and go to the gym. And yeah, for the past couple of weeks, I've had no desire to do either whatsoever. And I don't really know what sort of caused it or what stemmed from it. I think generally I'm not really the best winter person, right? So it's getting colder, summer's over, so that's like an easy excuse to get out of the way, right? But there was something deeper going on. I just had no desire to really do anything, and it just felt like a slog to do the most basic of tasks. And I think a lot of that would be generally down to the time that I was spending on social media. Interestingly, how I started to feel less bothered to do the things I needed to do was also the same time that I was watching more TV, I was scrolling on my phone more, and I just wasn't actually doing anything that we could call as a needle mover in both my business, myself as a person, and also my relationship with God and becoming a Christian. But today was different, and I sort of got to this point where my back was up against a wall. It's like the more that I didn't do the things that I was meant to do, the more that I got pushed into a corner. And I feel like today, the pain of staying where I was versus wanting to change and wanting to go further, it sort of like tippled over and it sort of like did a reversal on itself to the point where I went to the gym today and it just felt right to go and do the workout. It just felt right to do the right thing. It felt right to read my Bible. It felt right to pray. It just felt right. And I think one of the biggest things as a Christian, one of the biggest things that I've simply got to give thanks for right here, right now, is having this compass, this sort of like moral centerpiece where I'm basically able to use this to make certain decisions. Because before returning to faith, I never had this. I would have to rely on other people. I'd have to look on social media, and other people would tell me what was right and what was wrong and what was needed to be done. And there's still good aspects to that. I think a lot of men are lost right now, so it's important to find that fellowship and find these people that are at a higher caliber than you and they can tell you the next steps to take. But Christianity sort of instilled this working sort of like computer console inside of me where I know to understand what is right and what is wrong, and I base that based off of what pleases the Lord and what doesn't please the Lord. And as I've read the Bible, this thing here, whilst I've got your attention, this will change your life. The Bible. If you're not reading it, read it and read it very, very wisely. I am not the person that is going to bring you to your faith. I can help perhaps tip that first domino, but it's going to be you that has to take that leap into faith and that leap into letting go and letting God, as it were. And this compass that I've been able to decipher now, it's literally transformed my life, quite literally. So what I found this morning was that going to the gym, it just felt like the right thing to do. And I'm a very logical person because of generally what I've been through. I've had a lot of like hardship, a lot of loneliness, a lot of like issues that to this day I'm still working on, right? But now what I'm able to do is, especially this understanding of knowing what is right and what is wrong, it's not a logical thing anymore. I'm a lot more in tune with my emotions. And sometimes there's these things where I can't quite explain them, but I just know that I need to do it. So this morning going to the gym, I couldn't really explain it. It just felt like the right thing to do. Weeks had passed and I'd been going to the gym, I'd been waking up, but I hadn't actually been doing anything. I was just going to the gym and walking on the treadmill, and I was trying to convince myself that that was the right thing to do, when really it was doing the square root of nothing. Sure, it's better than nothing, but for the goals that I have and for what's required of me in terms of my physique and where I need to be, it was doing absolutely nothing. And yet today I went in, did a proper workout, trained with intensity, and it's got me fired up, ready to go for tomorrow's session or tonight when I'll go again and do some cardio, right? And I think one of the things that I've learned as a Christian is you've got this thing, right? You've got your spirit and you've got the flesh. And we're never really taught this. And in all the things that I've studied, whether that be spirituality, whether that be esoteric wisdom, whether that be other people that I've learned from, it was never something that was actually given to me as a piece of information. But yet when I read the Bible and sort of like going to church, spending time with other Christians, this concept of the spirit and the flesh has become more and more important to me. And what I've begun to realise is that the Western world and how we're generally brought up in modern day society is that we're not really taught to battle with our flesh. We're instead taught to pursue these things. We're taught to pursue cars and pursue fast things, and the harder that you work, the better these things will be given to you. And really, it's further from the truth. This compass that I've got within me now, I'm able to understand. So let's just go over today, right? It's about 6 a.m. as I've already said. I've done my first session, and what do I actually have to do today? I need to read my Bible because I'm about 3/4 of the way through Proverbs. That feels right to do. I don't know why, it just feels right to do. It feels like what I'm meant to do. When I look at that decision, I sort of weigh it up on these weighing scales, as I were. There is no downside to me reading the Bible, right? So I've got to do that. I've got to respond to all my WhatsApp messages. I've got to make sure for the people that are paying me in my business that they are not left without a good service. That feels right to do. There is no downside to me not replying to those clients and doing what I need to do. I also need to journal. I need to get whatever it is that's in my mind and put it onto paper, because the way that my mind works is there's all these thoughts going around every single day, and it's hard for me to contain everything unless I'm not writing it down. Otherwise, these ideas that I'm having, these sort of like interruptions that I'm having in whatever I'm thinking about, whatever's troubling me, if it's not down on paper, it's just going to continuously rot in my mind. And whether that be a good thing or a bad thing, it's either going to get forgotten about or it's going to occupy too much of my mental space. So journaling, again, that is a right thing. There is no downside to me journaling. I have got to eat healthily. Again, there's lots of snacks in the cupboard, but I know that eating right is going to fuel me to make sure that mentally I'm clear, mentally I'm fueled to do the right things. If I'm eating junk, right, think about this practically. You will rarely sit down at the table and just eat junk food, right? You eat junk food sat at the sofa. You eat it watching TV. You open up that packet of crisps and you start scrolling on your phone, right? Whereas when I eat the right food, I want to prepare it, I want to be careful with it, I want to give thanks for it, and I want to sit at the table. Maybe I'll watch some on YouTube, but it'll be educational. There is, again, no downside. I can't explain these things, but it just feels right to do it, right? And these things are actual needle movers in both my character, in my business, and also what God expects me to do. The way that I like to envision part of my relationship with God, because it's so vast, right? And I would highly implore you to do this, is almost imagine that you two have made a deal together, right? God so much loved the world that he gave his only son. And that to me is something that I battle with every single day, because what he gave to us is uncomprehendable in value, right? He gave his only son. And when you see what Jesus went through and what he gave up for us and for our salvation, it's good, because I can never repay God for what he did. I can never give enough thanks to Jesus to what he went through for us. And so I picture it and I frame it in the way of, you've done this for me, therefore I've got to do this for you. And the never-ending battle is that it'll never be enough. The way that I see it is, I'll never be enough in God's eyes. I'll never be enough to be able to repay what he did for me. And I know that that's not the best for him to have, but what it does is it instills a mindset for me that I've always got to do something that is pleasing to God, that is right to God. And so when I'm approaching my day, when it's, the day's just starting, my missus is still in bed, a lot of the world hasn't started their day yet, I can look at that and think, right, what is required of me today? You've given air in my lungs, you've allowed me to wake up today, therefore you still have a plan for me. What do I need to do? What is required for me to do to hold up my end of the deal? You did your bit, now what do I need to do? And that's something that really helps me navigate through these tricky waters, because I'm in a phase in my life where I'm still defining things. I'm still sort of thinking, what is it that I need to do? What's my actual purpose, especially in the realm of business, right? But I found that as long as I put one foot in front of the other, God wakes me up and put airs in my lungs, the job's not done. There is still work to be done. So I think as long as I spend time with God and I'm looking at these things where I may not quite understand it, but it feels right to do, that then is how I can actually turn it into a good day, right? And this, and in terms of like how it makes me feel, right? Because I'm in a position now where everything is just emotional. I don't really know what it is that I'm doing, but I just know that it's right. That's then allowing me to sleep better. I am allowing to have clearer thoughts. My head is so much better being a Christian. That is really a simple thing. I think that there's a lot of soft qualities and principles that are instilled upon young men nowadays, in the sense of, being depressed and having depression, have all of these things that just allow you to basically have a shield from accountability, right? You get away with scrolling on your phone and drinking all the weekends and even through the week and doing all these sinful activities, but then it's okay because you don't feel like doing it, or you're having a down day, or whatever, right? But I found that now my head is so much clearer. Christianity has given me so much more of a principle where even if I don't feel like going to the gym, or even if I don't feel like doing these things, because of that deal that I made with God, I have to do them anyway. It's what's required of me. Going back to my point about spirit and the flesh, these fleshly desires of wanting to sleep more, of wanting to just watch TV all weekend and watch films, and don't get me wrong, these things are good, but if they base your entire lifestyle, if you have, say, 100 hours in a week, and you're spending 100 of those hours fleshly desires, not really doing anything, then that's on you, and that's a problem that you need to work on. These are not the things that please the Lord. But if you can have a balance of being proud of your labour, being actual labour and actually doing the work, these are things that's going to move you closer to God. You'll find that sometimes, yes, they're going to be hard to do, but you'll know that when your head hits the pillow at night, that you've done a good day, you've had a good day. As men, we have these two very, very important parts in our day, right? First thing is when your feet hit the floor in the morning, and the second one is when your head hits the pillow at night. And you'll be wondering, at those specific points in the day, what needs to be done today, and did you do enough in that day? And being a Christian, walking towards God, returning to faith, doing the things that I've said I'm going to do today, these are the things so that when my head hits the pillow tonight, I'll be able to say, you know what, I'm tired, I'm a little bit sore, but I know that I gave my all and I did what was required. And I know that when my feet hit the floor this morning, I knew what needed to be done, and I had a clear mind map in my head of, right, this is what I need to do to hold up my end of the deal with God, with Jesus, and start towards repaying off that debt. So yeah, I'm feeling good today. I feel like I've got my plan out. I know what needs to be done, and I just know that when my head hits the pillow tonight, I'll have done what I needed to do. So unsure of how this video went today. Hope there's some value that you found in it, and if you are struggling to find your spark, sit time. Spend time with yourself. Be alone. Get a journal out. Read the Bible. Read the Word. You can't be a Christian and not read the Bible. Go to church. Control your environment. These are things that are going to be needle movers in your life, in your journey as a man, getting you closer with God. You need to control your environment so that it pushes out the best for you.